Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Avani Ratan, your faculty at Conceptual Psychology. I welcome you all to the third unit of social psychology, which is on social perception. We are going to give you a quick revision for the IHBAS M.Phil entrance exam. Let us start with what is social perception? So, social perception is the process through which we try to understand and interpret other people, in which we are looking at their emotions, their intentions, and their personalities. It involves both non-verbal cues like your body language, facial expressions, and it also involves the attribution processes, explaining why people behave the way that they do. All right. So when someone avoids eye contact during a conversation, we might perceive them as shy, maybe guilty, or maybe not interested. So that's how we, articulate social perception. Now, talking about the non-verbal communication, we often communicate without words, and these are pretty powerful in social perception. There are 5 major channels. First, facial expressions. The second is your eye contact. The third are your body movements and your posture. The fourth is touch. And the fifth is the paralinguistic cues. Now, what are paralinguistic cues? It's the tone, the pitch, the pauses in your speech. So these are the 5 major channels of nonverbal communication. Now, facial expressions. These are the clues to your emotions, right? The face is the image of the soul. So certain emotions such as happiness, anger, sadness, fear, disgust, surprise, these are universal across the cultures, right? So facial expressions, they give away the feelings even if the words don't. So if someone says, I'm fine, and their sad face or teary eyes, they can reveal the truth, right? Second is the gazes and the stares, the eye contact. So if there is a continuous or a high eye contact, then there is liking, friendliness, and even confidence. If the eye contact is lacking, then there is, shyness, discomfort, or even disinterest. If there is continuous staring, that is aggression or hostility. So in road rage situations, a prolonged stare is often seen as a challenge which can escalate the aggression. Now talking about body language, there is gestures and posture. So our posture and movements, they reflect our moods. When there is nervousness, you would often observe fidgeting, scratching, playing with the hands. So then there are emblems, which are the culturally defined gestures with very clear meaning. What are those? Thumbs up. It is good in many cultures, but it is offensive in some Middle Eastern countries. So that's an example of an emblem. Okay, now touch. For studying touch, the context really matters. Touch can convey affection, it can convey dominance, it could convey comfort or even aggression depending on the context. So inappropriate touch may feel threatening, and an appropriate touch, which is handshake, pat on the back, it can build trust. So a firm handshake, it creates a good first impression. A doctor's reassuring touch, maybe a pat on the shoulder, may reduce a patient's anxiety. When we discuss the paralinguistic cues and chemistry, the tone, the pitch, and the pauses in the speech, this often reveals your emotions. There are also biological signals like your body's scent, it changes during ovulation in females, and it can also unconsciously influence perception. Okay, moving on. Why facial expressions are important? Why even talking about it? Because they're hard to ignore. They strongly grab the attention, right? The negative expressions, which are anger, they're detected more quickly than the neutral or the happy ones. Then there is facial feedback hypothesis that our expressions, they just don't show emotions, they also influence them, right? Smiling can make us feel happier. Frowning can increase the negative mood. So, in an experiment, people who were asked to hold a pen between their teeth, forcing a smile, they reported feeling happier than those who held it between their lips, forcing a frown. Now, quickly talking about deception. How do you detect lies? So, people lie surprisingly often, right? There are small white lies or even the bigger ones. So, we can sometimes, detect deceptions through non-verbal cues. What are those? First are the micro expressions. What are micro expressions? Very brief facial expressions that reveal your true emotions. So, somebody pretending to be happy may flash a quick frown. Or then there are, the interchannel discrepancies also, which is a mismatch between different signals, saying I'm confident while trembling. So these are the mismatch between the signals. Eye contact patterns. So liars, they may blink more, they may avoid gaze, or they stare too much to seem honest. Then there is an exaggerated facial expression, which is overly dramatic smile or maybe sorrow. So, person who refuses your request but shows excessive regret might not be truthful about their reason. Moving on to theories of attribution, explaining the behavior. So, when we see someone act, we try to answer, why did they do that? So, attribution theories, they explain how we make sense of others' actions. What are attribution theories? Is how we make sense of others' actions. So, the first is Jones and Davis, who gave the correspondent interference theory. So, here we infer traits from behavior if the action was freely chosen, the outcome was distinctive, which is not common effect, and the behavior was socially desirable. So if I'll break it down for you. If a student volunteers to speak in front of class, that's a free choice. It is unusual and it is not socially expected to, right? So we may infer that they are confident. Now, Kelly's covariation theory. We use three types of information: consensus, do others act the same way? Consistency, does this person behave the same way over time? And distinctiveness, does this person behave differently in other situations? So, if everyone laughs at a joke, that is a high consensus, right? This person always laughs at this comedian is a high consistency, but not at others. So that is a high distinctiveness. So there could be an external cause also. which is that the joke is genuinely funny. Now, coming to attribution errors. The fundamental attribution error, which is the correspondence bias. So please pay attention to this because this is important from examination point of view. So the fundamental attribution error, which is the correspondence bias, it is the tendency to overestimate personality factors and underestimate situational causes. So assuming a waiter is rude because of their character, not because they are stressed or they are overworked. That is the example of fundamental attribution error. Talking about the actor-observer effect. We explain our own behavior by situation, but we explain others' behaviors by traits. I was late because of traffic versus he was late because he is irresponsible. That is actor-observer effect. Talking about self-serving bias. Here we credit ourselves for successes, blame situations for failures. So I got an A because I studied hard versus I failed because the teacher was unfair. Now, talking about attribution and depression. So depressed individuals, they reverse this. They blame themselves for the failures, which is internal, and they credit luck for success, which is external, which worsens their depression. Now, summarizing social perception, we constantly judge others through nonverbal cues and attribution processes. So while these help us understand people, they can also lead to biases and errors. So this is how we could summarize social perception. I wish you happy learning. Thank you.